2 weeks ago, I released a base in the God Rock that can raid cost 100 rockets, but after reading your comments, I realized that not many of you managed to build in this new rock formation. You see the God Rock from afar, rush over to it, and when you arrive, there's already some poor naked living there. Naturally, you don't have much of a choice but to start door camping him with a DB shotgun. And I don't judge you, I do the same, but I prefer a different approach. I found the most unpopular new rock from the update and built a brand new rock base in it. And just think about it. For only half a box of resources, you get protection of more than 60 rockets to the TC. This base includes bunkers, unlootable loot rooms, an attic with beds, excellent shooting positions, and all of it topped with my fresh tricks and unique ideas. If everyone's building on the God Rock, only the viewers of this video will understand the real potential of this new arch-shaped rock. I spend over 400 hours a month designing new bases for you, and my only motivation is your likes. For you, it takes just a second to hit that like button, but for me, it's an incredible motivation to keep creating even more OP bases for you. Thank you! And now, let me show you how my base looks from the inside. Before you see all the inner workings of this base, keep in mind that building it requires a minimal amount of resources. Everything you're about to see can be built even by a beginner. This is a base inside a rock, and to make it more secure, I've designed it with an exit on only one side. It's clear that when you have just one exit, you need to protect yourself from door campers. In my case, I've planned everything carefully. It's nearly impossible to camp this exit with a DB shotgun. Additionally, if you need to take out someone in front of your base, you won't have any issues because you'll have these peaks on every side. Also, notice that there are 2 turrets placed on both sides here. You'll also have a shooting position, and even if someone climbs onto your atmospheric rock base, you can deal with them from here. I tried to make this base as symmetrical as possible, so everything on the opposite side is identical. If at least 2 of you are playing, it will become a real problem for anyone trying to door camp you. Now, let's go deeper into the base. Here, you're immediately greeted by a long shaft leading to the center of the rock, and just look at how many garage doors I've placed here. There's even a turret at the end of the shaft. To reach the first large boxes in this base, someone will have to blow through either 7 garage doors or an HQM wall. Spending at least 15 rockets just to access some boxes with junk in them is a pretty weak plan. Behind the HQM door, there are more options for where to go. For example, on the right side, there's an unlootable loot room hidden behind a vending machine. You simply rotate the vending machine and you gain access to 2 large boxes. Outside, there are at least 2 walls before reaching this unlootable loot room, one of which is HQM, making it cost at least 22 rockets. On the left side, I have jump up leading to the roof, which acts as your main combat spawn in this base. This area fits 2 beds, plenty of large boxes, and also has a room for batteries. You can place 2 large batteries in here. Why not if you have the space? Now, let's go deeper into this rock base. To reach the first HQM bunker, raiders will need to spend at least 30 rockets, whether they're going through walls or doors. To open the bunker, you need to stand on a sleeping bag inside, then simply break the twig half wall. Once you do that, the bunker will open and you can walk out freely. Inside this bunker, you'll have another loot room, sleeping bags, several electric furnaces, and of course plenty of garage doors that you can close at any time. Also, a level 3 workbench fits perfectly into the new rock textures. But I didn't call this video double bunker for no reason. There's another bunker here which opens with a twig roof. Inside this second bunker you'll find 1 large box and the main TC with its upkeep right in front of you. With protection against more than 60 rockets to the TC, I'd say this is more than acceptable. Actually, it's barely anything for such strong protection. Also, you'll have a research table and a repair bench embedded in the textures. To close this bunker, first you need to exit it, then place a half wall and then a ceiling on top of it. The cost to upgrade the ceiling is just 7 HQM. Now you're probably curious about how protected the backside of this base is. Well, I've placed a massive amount of solid walls back there. Honestly, the exact number of walls isn't what matters. You can add as many as you want in your wipe. I think this new rock is incredibly overpowered and underrated, and it's likely to be available for building in your wipe day. And if you rush to the arch-shaped rock and find that someone is already living there, don't be upset, because today my Patreon has a brand new 18th private base, and I can confidently say it's my best private base of the year. It's built on a 2x1 main, features a unique shooting position, an open core with 12 large boxes, and a total of 8 sheet metal bunkers. That's more than 50 rockets worth of protection. protection, not even counting the raid to the TC. And for just $7.50, you'll gain access to this base as well as all the other content I post there. That's at least 18 private bases for any playstyle. The Patreon link will be in the description. Subscribe, you won't regret it. There are two types of arch-shaped rocks on the map. One is very large, like the one you can see now, and the other is much lower and smaller. The small one, which you can see here, is the one we're going to build on. As soon as you find it on the map, you need to claim the spot immediately so you don't lose it for future building. It's great that this base starts with a bunker. Your landmark is this ledge I'm leaning against. You should place a square foundation so it aligns with the ledge, while the left side is placed within the textures of the new rock on the left. Next, you'll need to build the bunker TC. For the entire setup, you'll need 1250 wood and 1050 stone. Basically, just chop down 2 trees and break 1 stone ore. And with that, you'll have a fully functional bunker that won't be easily destroyed with satchels at the start of your wipe. The only downside I see is that you might get killed while opening it. You can either open it very carefully or build a small base near the rock to live in until you have enough resources to expand further. Once you've gathered enough resources, you need to replicate exactly what I'm doing in this video. Take note that the high foundation will later be used for the stability bunker. While I continue building, I want to give a special thanks to everyone who watches, likes, shares, and comments on my videos. I read every comment and always try to take your feedback into account. Also, a big thank you to my paid subscribers on Patreon because it's thanks to you that I can keep doing what I do. For those who are new, I release 4 videos every month, 2 on YouTube and 2 on Patreon. If you don't want to miss any of my videos, make sure to subscribe to both platforms. This is where one of the most important parts of this base begins, the construction of the stability bunker. In this area, you should have 2 high triangular foundations. Next, place a half wall and then a full wall on top of it. You won't need the lower half wall for now, so you can demolish it. Follow the building steps exactly as I show in the video. At this point, you can already place additional doors here, which means your base is already somewhat protected. Then, place a low foundation in this spot and build a metal ceiling slightly above it. This step is crucial to remove any weak points and avoid having to upgrade this area to HQM. Once your floor is leveled, you can start adding extra doors. At the beginning stage, you'll have 3 doors at the entrance, which I think is more than enough. For easier access, just place a low triangular foundation near the entrance. Now that we've finished with the entrance area, let's take a look inside. Here you immediately have a stability bunker that you can close whenever necessary. It closes very easily. Place a half wall and then a ceiling on top of it, upgrading it to any material you prefer. To open the bunker, you simply break the twig half wall and that's it. While you're online, I wouldn't recommend closing it, except maybe at night. Inside the bunker, arrange things as you see fit. For example, I have a second workbench placed inside the textures, 3 electric furnaces and a full loot room. If you need regular furnaces, it's logical to place them wherever there's space. You can add more door frames if you want more doors, except where the bunker will open later. The opening will be where the workbench is currently located. As you can see, everything works smoothly, and right at the start of your wipe, you already have a double bunker setup. Pretty nice. We've completed the initial protection on the front side of the base, but things aren't looking so great on the back side just yet. I would recommend starting to fix this immediately. First, you should upgrade the bunker to HQM, at least its foundation. Then place triangular foundations all around and raise walls at least 2 stories high. I recommend upgrading these walls to sheet metal, but if you're a wealthy solo or duo player, you could even upgrade them to HQM. However, I don't advise adding too many walls to the backside right away. To begin with, I think a single layer of walls will be enough. Once that's done, you can move back to the front side of the base. Here, we need to add another layer of triangular foundations. This is the stage where it's easy to make a mistake, so watch closely. On the right side, we'll build the access to the roof. I recommend building it now so you don't have to come back to it later. Place a regular double door to access the future roof, not a garage door, because this will be a combat room and a garage door might mess things up at some point. If you already have beds at this stage, you can create a full floor, but since I haven't researched beds yet, I'll just continue building the entrance. In this spot, you'll have an unlootable loot room behind a vending machine. You can fit 2 large boxes here. Make sure to place code locks or solo locks on these boxes. Now it's important to place the vending machine correctly. Pay attention to the texture of the sheet metal doorway. You need to position the vending machine so that it slightly enters the sheet metal texture, then place it. After that, rotate the vending machine and you'll be able to loot the 2 large boxes. If something goes wrong, remember the 5-minute timer hasn't passed yet, so in theory, you can break the 2 triangular foundations with a hammer, which will break the vending machine, allowing you to try again. Now let's move on to building the full attic. Start by placing solid walls on all sides. I recommend upgrading everything to sheet metal because you won't have access to this part later. Next, along the perimeter of the entire second floor, we install standard full walls. On this floor, as you may recall, there were quite a few different elements. In the farthest corner, I had 2 large batteries set up. I recommend placing them behind HQM glass. This will provide enough power for your lighting, turrets, and everything else. In the same spot, we also installed 2 beds. After that, all the remaining space is filled with large boxes, and of course small boxes if they fit. Essentially, that's it. Your attic is fully set up. You can store defense resources here or just stack various other resources. Now we can move on. Still working from the front side, we need to place another layer of triangular foundations. In this layer, you will have your shaft with garage doors. Besides this shaft, there will also be a loot room for quick resource drops so that you don't always have to go inside the cave. For instance, here's the entrance to the base, and right at this spot, we'll create a loot room with 4 large boxes. I highly recommend upgrading the left wall to HQM, and if you can't fit 4 large boxes due to the rock textures or something else, you can either use DLC barrels or just place small boxes. Next, we install walls all the way to the end. The remaining space is filled with frames for double doors. Please note that the ceilings in this section must be sheet metal. If you leave them stone, it will create a weak spot. Be sure to place a double door at the exit, and these 2 walls should also be upgraded to HQM. At night, make sure to close off this loot room with glass. Once you research garage doors, be sure to replace everything here with them. For example, as you see, this is how it should roughly look when complete. And once the shaft with garage doors is ready, you can start working on the front side of the base. But first, we need to address a few problem areas. For example, in this spot, you'll have only 1 wall before reaching the loot room. Here, it's absolutely necessary to add an extra sheet metal buffer wall. No matter how many times I've built this cave base, this step has always been essential. Next, we need to add another layer of triangular foundations. In this section, you'll be setting up the shooting positions, roof peaks, the entrance, and so on. If you have any questions about this base or any other base from my channel, feel free to reach out to me in my Discord. Either I or my helper team will definitely assist you. The link to my Discord will be in the pinned comment. Now we'll start building the roof peaks. It's crucial not to make mistakes here because we still need space for an auto turret. If you don't need these shooting positions, you can either just put up walls here or close everything off with regular windows. I always try to make my bases as symmetrical as possible, and I recommend you do the same. So now we'll move to the opposite side and repeat the process. Of course, you can come up with your own ideas, but I try to optimize my bases as much as possible. That's why I believe this version offers the best balance of cost and efficiency compared to others. Next, we cover this entire layer of triangular foundations with stone ceilings. There's really no point in upgrading to sheet metal at this stage. The base already uses very little stone, as I mostly upgrade frames, and the entrance. The entrance section of this base is not as important as the back side. So once you've set up the shooting positions on the sides, just close off the center part with garage doors or double doors, and I would recommend finishing up the back of the base at this point. Because as you remember, there are quite a few walls. Well, 3 walls are too few for such a base. So now we're going to fix that. It's actually very simple. We place foundations and walls everywhere they can be placed. There's no specific setup you need to follow here. Just build as it works for you. For example, look here. My foundation doesn't fit, but it's no big deal really. Just wall it off and move on. The most important thing is the number of walls, not how many foundations you place. And the more sheet metal walls you have here, the better. Now, I've placed walls everywhere, but I don't really like how it looks, so if I were you, I'd add some decorations. See, it looks much better, doesn't it? Next, we need to build protection from door campers, and like everything in my tutorials, it's as simple as possible. First, we place 2 half walls here, upgrading them to sheet metal so they can't be eco-rated. Then, we need to place 3 frames for triangle hatches. After that, we install mailboxes in the center of these frames. In theory, you could replace these mailboxes with furnaces, but on the other hand, why waste resources when the furnaces can be looted anyway, right? So we'll do it as I suggested. And that's it, your entrance section is complete. All that's left is to add a low triangle foundation to make entering your base more convenient. Now, let's check out what I've ended up with. I've set up a shooting position under the entrance door, so there's no way anyone can door camp me. Next, you have a peak on the roof of your base, and there's also a spot for the turret, which I've just placed. The turret is positioned symmetrically on both sides, then we go higher and add wooden railings for a nice exterior look. And now, onto more practical adjustments. At this point, symmetrically on all sides, we're adding walls, which are needed for future buffer layers. You must upgrade these to sheet metal. After that, just like I'm doing in the video, you'll need to place triangle roofs everywhere. Once you've done that, you've added an extra layer of walls to protect the loot in this base. As you can see, it's simple. Here's how everything looks from the outside. If you need extra walls on the sides, don't hesitate to add them. I don't recommend using wind turbines in cave bases because they attract too much attention. So if you need a lot of electricity, just place plenty of solar panels. And some of you might say, look, hidden joint, you've got a soft side of the wall here. It can be broken with a pickaxe. But that's not the case, and I know you won't believe me, so I'll prove it to you. I've just spent a whole jackhammer trying to break this wall, and as you can see, it only lost 5 health points. So that's all fine. Now let's double check that everything is correct. Meanwhile, I want to give a big shout out to my OP subscribers, and of course, a huge thank you to everyone else who supports me on Patreon. Thanks to you, I was able to open my own build server and keep doing what I do. Be sure to subscribe to the channel, hit like, and check out my other videos. Now I'm off to brainstorm my next base design.